You are listening to the Xandir Podcast Radio Network.
I'm not sponsored, but gray matter, blue light glasses are really stylish and nice, and I like them. So buy them. Gray matter, sponsor me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Banana Toast Podcast, where we are recapping The Circle US Season 1. This is Episode 10, Declare Your Arrival. And without further ado, I'm one half of this podcast, the Angie 2.
I am the other half of this podcast, everyone's favorite father figure, weird uncle, and looking at my weird, almost nephew for the first time ever. Papa D was good.
As those of you watching the YouTube can see, there's a special guest today. My son Xandir's on. We had to reschedule our normal night to podcast, so I don't have a sitter tonight. He's normally chill. Watchy has a meltdown like 5 times, but yeah, y'all get to see him. For those of you listening on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, all of that, you might hear him occasionally. He takes after his mom, and he's chatty. He's quiet right now, but you might hear some cute babbling if the pacifier comes out. But yeah, I fully expected his first podcast to be much later in life, but these are the breaks. These are the breaks.
For real, these are. But we do what we have to do. With this episode, what we're gonna see is things got a lot more serious. The cast decided, like the gang decided to make sure the cast knew, bro, like the finalist is among you, but guess what? No more new people are coming in. But also, guess what? We're also sending some people home, and you're gonna call out some people. And we're gonna end up seeing that a little bit later. But we start the episode off with Chris and Sammy chatting, basically checking in with each other, touching base, trying to solidify whatever alliance they have or whatever relationship they have. They discuss Ben and his salt, that salty video, which I don't blame him. He was upset, and it's one of those things. He just came in, and unfortunately, people felt fake to him. But I can't. But it's one of those things where it's like it's not they were fake. It's just one of those things like the core group came in and they're trying to stay together. To where, unfortunately, bro, you just came in too late. You didn't form that connection. You weren't part of that bond. You were never going to be. And so they sent you home because that was the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I like that they created the hashtag FakeGate for their conversation. And I mean, Chris and Sammy, I'm sure even after the show, they just meet up to spread tea, because I feel like every interaction we see them have on this show, they're just sharing some tea, and I love watching it. But yeah, like they're definitely catching wind after last episode. Like something's up with Rebecca. You know, half the time she was calling this guy a dog, and you know, she's only known him for, let's see, he came in late, so probably under a week, because like a day is an episode pretty much, because they fly these people out for 2 weeks. So she's known him under a week. She's hated him half the time, knows he's been flirting with every other girl, and she's just heartbroken. And so it's raising flags, because they want to believe her. She's one of the OGs, but they're just like, something's not right. And even if she's real, she's not stable in the head to be taking it this hard, and they're trying to figure out just what is going on. Poor Rebecca, but I get it, you know, especially on a show like this, because people say on a reality show a day is like a week when you're filming it, and that's why on a lot of these shows we see sometimes, you know, completely serious long-term relationships spin up. You know, on the Challenge, the other show we podcast about, we got several long-term relationships in play from people who met for a couple of weeks on the show. But with The Circle, like, you don't get the physical interaction. So you don't see each other. You don't have breakfast together. There's no canoodling in bed. It's all just written. So it makes it even weirder, even on a reality TV standpoint, for Rebecca to be acting this way. And we'll get more into poor Rebecca and poor Shuby later in this. Meanwhile, Joey's getting his I mean, part of it's nice guy, and then a little bit of it's flirt because he likes blondes. He's a nice guy, so he doesn't care about size. He's chatting with Sean. You know, he's telling her she's beautiful and that their connection was based on their conversation, not the person in the photos, but she's still gorgeous. And he's so sad every time she keeps mentioning, like, I'm glad you'll still talk to me. I'm glad you like me, even though I'm not skinny. What was her name? Colleen, the friend whose picture she took. And Joey's just kind of realizing what a struggle Sean's had in her life, you know, but he's just like, you're gorgeous, you're perfect, I've always got your back. And Sean, you know, promises to be there for him too. And for me, someone who's seen the season before, this scene is like a knife in the heart because you know it's coming. And the editors are dirty for this. The editors are dirty.
They are. I do want to say, side note, Colleen, I swear I'm going to Google this, but no. And I know we pointed out before, I just want to say, Colleen looks like a model that we've seen on a regular basis. Not, maybe, I don't know, but it's one of those things like, I swear I've seen this woman in a commercial or something before, because she looks so much like, if she isn't, she looks so much like somebody. And I know you said, I believe people went online and was like, Colleen looks like this, and Colleen like it's basically like she's
no,
a doppelganger.
that was just me. She looks just like Morgan Willett, Johnny Banana's girlfriend that he's had for like 3-4 years now. She's been on Big Brother and stuff. She was on the challenge briefly. Every time I rewatch season 1 and see Colleen, I think it's Morgan. And before Sean switches her pictures, every time I see the lineup, I think someone has like jacked Morgan's photo. So Colleen is a Morgan Willett doppelganger. And I know you don't follow many reality people on your social media, but I think you said you followed Johnny, and he posts enough pictures of Morgan. So you might be getting that vibe from seeing some of Johnny's pictures.
I will look into it further at this point because doing this podcast has me curious. But yes, they talk to each other. There is a little bit of flirting, but I feel like it is mostly Joey just being nice and being just reassuring, hey, you are beautiful. I'm happy you decided to share your truth with us. And he's like, I'll fight your bullies for you. All I'm thinking is boobs. For real, I see thick chick like that. I think boobs, 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 boobs. Xandir, I see you bobbing a little bit. I see you. See you over there. Boobs. It's gonna be your first word. Swear to God. Anyway.
They give him nutrients.
But anyway, so we move forward and we get the first alert of the game. And this alert is what's turning everything on its head because this alert is a game called State Your Case. They are told that there are no more new players coming. The winner is among them.
I'm sleepy.
I'm sorry. Yes, I know it was a long day. But yes, I apologize. They told more new players are among them, and they get a message, and they have to make a message about why they deserve to win over their rival, and they get to name their rival. And it's one of those things where it's like, this is where we get to call people out now. What's about to happen? Who's about to get called on? And so first up is Sean.
Yeah, Sean, you know, it's fun watching people first scramble. They're like, who's my rival? And then this just creates chaos. So Sean starts out and she's like, my biggest rival is Sammy because she's gorgeous and she's one of the OGs. And I mean, she and Ed realize the OGs are going to band up more often than not. And she says she deserves to win over Sammy because Sammy hasn't taken as big of a risk as Sean has because Sean, you know, came out as herself. And this rubs pretty much all the OGs the wrong way. Like, how dare you insinuate that, you know, Sammy doesn't take risks, because they've heard the story about, you know, Sammy's mom dying and her dad was absent and the dad's sister took her in and stuff. And Sammy even says, you know, Sean doesn't know what I've been through. She doesn't have the right to say that. Right. So Sammy's up next and she just flips it around and she says that her biggest rival is Sean because Sean's message is so strong of, you know, be yourself, accept yourself, you know, plus size women are beautiful too. And yep. Sammy says she deserves to win because she's been herself since day one. And Sean came in as someone else. Mic drop, and everyone's like, ooh. And Sean's like, this is some bullshit, but she's not wrong.
She's not. She's not at all. It's her deceitfulness, the fact that she's willing, the fact that she can pull off what she pulled off. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, she's wary of her, and that makes her her biggest rival. And yeah, these two kind of go back and forth. Next, we got Shuby. He calls out. He says Joey's the biggest rival because they both play an honest game. Joey's completely genuine, and it's one of those things where it becomes that is a threat because he can't be liked in this game. But Shuby's got to influence their spot more, in which case that means he thinks that's why he deserves to win. And Joey just responds with respect and kindness, like, you're right, it is. You've won that more, in which case, if I lose to you, I'm not going to be angry. You're one of those people, like, honestly, the way you played this game, I wouldn't be mad if I lost to you. I want to win, but it is what it is. And the house is just like, wow, okay. Joey came back with thoughtfulness and politeness. Damn. Okay. And so,
Other people were more bothered by Shuby's message than Joey, because they're like, oh, he's rubbing it in. I've been an influencer 4 times. And Joey's just, yeah, you have, bro. Love you. Hearts, love, peace.
very true. We get Rebecca /Seaburn, in which case she states that she says Ed is his rival because he's new and basically mysterious. He's a wild card. We don't know him. Nobody knows him. Nobody knows anything about him. In which case, Rebecca /Seaburn has stated that she stood on her own 2 feet since day one. In which case, it's one of those things where she also mentions she's spoken genuine. And I'm just like, yeah, notice emphasis on speaking genuine, catfishing, son of a biscuit eater, because we have Xandir here and I'm not going to make him cuss. I'm not going to put that in the conscious. But you son of a biscuit eater. Anyway, Ed is honored by this because Ed knows you don't know me. You don't know me at all. So no, Ed, by no circumstance am I going to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm offended. Like, no, Ed is honored that she sees him as a threat. And then we move, and of course, Ed's mom chimes in, chirps in, and I'm just like, slowly starting not to like Ed's mom because Ed's mom is cutthroat. Ed's mom's got some haterade in her. Like, she's got some bitterness.
From the start that I didn't mind Ed, but I didn't like his mom, and I was happy to see him on the challenge because his mom confirmed to not come with him. Which, if you look at the ads for 37, everyone's like, "Did Ed bring his mom?" But Tammy just rubs me the wrong way. And again, disclaimer, she might be a wonderful woman IRL, but the way she comes off on the show, I've seen boomers like Tammy. I see how Tammy's acting, and I'm just like, can you go away? Like, just let
I've
Ed
seen
play.
boomers like Tammy.
I have. I've worked customer service for most of my life, well, over half at this point because I'm getting old. And I've dealt with people like Tammy where it's all underhanded, and I'm just like it would make, small spoiler, it would make more sense for this to happen on season 2 because they have some older people on, but when this is a very young cast, most of these people aren't even 30, and then they have Tammy, it's just this awkward dynamic that occurs. Like, I love some of Ed's initial reactions, and I hate that she's like, wait, no, here's what we're gonna do, like a Disney mom villain. It's like, just let Ed play the game. Like, even if he messes up, let him mess up, it'll be fun.
She wants to win. She wants that money, and I don't blame her. She can come on this way to be broke. And like I said, so Tammy also is literally like trying to tell them what to say, but also putting in your 20-something language. I'm like, you know what? At least you know. At least you know not to try and use 20 like young lingo. I ain't trying to use Gen Z lingo. Okay, like believe me, I'm old. I'm getting older. I'm okay with it. But back in my day, which I swear to God needs to be a podcast in and of itself, just millennials complaining about what we did back in my day. But teach these Gen Z or something. But anyway, so basically, Ed is kind of just honored, and then we get to hear about Ed Then we get to Ed flat out just says, I'm sorry, no. Then we go to Chris. Chris is next. Chris.
I think my notes are backwards if Ed's next, but it's Chris. Yeah, Chris named Shuby as his rival, and he brings up the influencer status. He's like, you know what? Shuby's been an influencer several times, so he's a favorite to win out of anyone. And Chris says he deserves to win because he's kept it 100% from the beginning, even with not knowing how to play the game, which kind of pisses off Shuby, but confuses most people, including me, because Shuby came in as the one who doesn't even really do social media. So Shuby kind of had to learn the most of anyone. The 100%, a lot of people are kind of digging at each other for that. So I think that's just a tactic to cast shadows on someone. It's smart to do to Shuby, because if people question Shuby, maybe he won't be influencer over and over anymore. But Shuby's just like, I had to learn just like you. What's going on, Chris? And he's a little nicer in his actual response than what he's saying on the camera, but Shuby's not happy. Like, we've seen the evolution of Shuby, who started as I hate social media, to now he's like social media king. It's like, bow to me, peasants. Bow to me.
Very true.
They've created a monster.
To an extent, Shuby is good at this type of game, but also it's because of the way they're playing. Like, as you've stated, since one thing you stated earlier in earlier episodes is that season 2 gets a lot more cutthroat, in which case we know Shuby wouldn't make it through season 2. Shuby's too nice, and Shuby's too genuine, Shuby's too real. The reason it's working well with this cast is because everyone is trying to play this game nice and just be themselves. Nobody wants to be catfish, but at the same time, they still want to win this money. So it is what it is. Then we got Ed. Next, Ed calls out Rebecca/Steve-Byrne as his rival because of how long she's been here and her popularity. The fact she's grown close to a lot of people and her connections. In which case, he thinks he deserves to win because Ed's been real and genuine, unlike Rebecca/Steve-Byrne. Rebecca/Steve-Byrne responds that she's been speaking real since day one, emphasis on speaking real, because Rebecca/Steve-Byrne knows they knew that it's one of those things like they don't want to flat out lie to themselves or to the camera. Like, I've been real since day one while you were pretending to be your girlfriend. Like, dude, get the hell out of here with that BS. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, it is what it is.
Pardon me, I mentioned this a few episodes ago where Seaburn was talking in the chat about how Adam was a dog, and he's even got the hip cocked and stuff, and I think a part of it's, I think he had been with Rebecca, like the real Rebecca, for 2 or 3 years, so he knows her well. But I feel like at this point he's basically becoming Rebecca, and it's funny to see because he's like, I have been real since day one. Even his speaking pattern is slightly different if you go back to the first episode versus these last few. And I'm like, he's literally become his girlfriend by being on the show. But, Ed calling Rebecca out resonates with Chris and Sammy because they were just having the hashtag FakeGate talk. And, now Ed has said something. You're like, oh my God, Ed has said something. Like, are we on to something? Like, are more people noticing this? What's going on? Because Rebecca before has been, her shyness has been mentioned, and now it's back, and more people are saying it, and they're at the end. And this just keeps snowballing, because then you have Joey, and Joey picks rival as a Rebecca. Wow, I just said that backwards. Joey picks Rebecca as a rival. There we go. Because like him, she came to be herself, lol. And she's also best friends with Chewy, and Joey is, very smartly afraid that Chewy might have to pick between him and Rebecca for something. And he also throws in that he's been honest, and he doesn't know if Rebecca is just shy or if she's calculated. So then Ed and Chris and Sammy are all like, ooh, Joey season 2. And Joey and Ed like win points with each other from this. But Chewy is just crushed because Joey's his bestie and Rebecca's his girl, and Joey just fired a shot at Rebecca, and he's like, of course Rebecca has been real since day one. Why can't people see this? And I'm like, oh, Shuby, oh, Shooby Booby. Like, everyone's seeing it but Shooby at this point.
Pretty much everyone's just the same, like, Shooby brother. Oh, I'm so sorry, dog. Oh, like, for real, just, I'm so sorry, dog. Oh, man, you about to get hit with something. About to get hit with something so hard. Oh my gosh, but yes. So basically, after that, all that's been put out, there's a little bit of time that passes, and Sammy and Sean chat. They try and clear the negativity and air between them because they basically, things got a little heated and negative when it comes between them. They both kind of calling each other out. Sammy, Sammy basically, Sean admits Sammy that she doesn't know Sammy's life. Sammy admits, Sean, you are great. It's just one of those things where you just got to get to know each other more. They bury the hatchet and try and get rid of the negativity, which is good until alert ratings, the second alert of the game.
Done. So we've got our ratings. As usual, I wrote down the ones they gave. But I don't think they'll ever give all of them because then you could mathematically figure it out before they tell you. Also, I feel like this is my conspiracy theory. Some reality shows have a clause where results might not be the exact order. Like, for instance, early American Idol seasons, whoever was bottom 3, the producers technically could pick one of them to go home. So you might have been, let's say out of 8 people, you might have been 7, but if the producers liked you, when they lined up 6th, 7th, and 8th, they could send you home. So it opens the door by us, by them not having all of the ratings. They could try to move this around because reality TV is sneaky. And if you're a reality TV fan, you know that.
Absolutely.
But for what we know, Joey has bonded with Ed, and Ed is 3rd in his book. Rebecca smartly needs to split Joey and Ed up. So she puts Ed in 6th because she's like, Joey's close to Shooby. Let's get rid of the new dude who's been gunning for me from like minute 1. And then Ed, of course, puts Rebecca in 6th in return for her fakeness. He's like, let's get Rebecca out. Chris is now suspicious of Rebecca and puts her 5th. Rebecca puts Chris 4th because she's like, I don't know where I stand with this guy. Sammy puts Chris in 5th because they've had a good talk, but they only really talked for tea. So she's like, I don't know if he really considers me a friend or if this is all strategy. But it's true for Chris. It's true. And he puts Sammy in 2nd. So I hope she's honored when she saw that. Sean also put Sammy in 2nd. They cleared the air. Of course, Sean trusted Sammy enough to come clean to her before most other people a couple episodes ago anyway. Sammy also feels great about Sean. She put Sean in 1st place, which is a big honor. Shooby doesn't really know Sean, so he puts her 5th. Sean loved the conversation she had with Joey, so she puts Joey in 1st. Shooby, of course, still loves Joey, puts Joey in 2nd. But here's where we see Joey starting to think strategy, because Joey has made friends, but Joey also wants this money. And in the game, like, Shooby's influencer status kept coming up over and over and over again. And so even though in his heart, Shooby would be number 1 or number 2, he needs to keep Shooby from winning so much. So he puts Shooby in 5th place, and he's just heartbroken. He can't even look at the TV when he says it. He's just like, circle put Shooby in 5th because he feels bad to do this to his friend. And he's like, if I'm going to win, I gotta knock Shooby down a few pegs. At this point, it's strategy. It's not friendship level. And we see this from Joey again later in the episode.
Absolutely. But once the ratings are in, everyone just kind of chills out. We don't know how much time has passed, but once the ratings are in, alert. Ratings revealed. The ratings are in. But wait, there's a twist. The ratings won't be revealed this time. And not only that, the highest rated player will be a super influencer, meaning that person gets to block someone by themselves, and we're never going to know who it is. In which case, So everyone's just sitting around, they're waiting, they're hoping, they're praying, they're wishing. Like, who's got it, who doesn't, who's got it, who doesn't. The super influencer ends up being Joey. Joey ends up getting this, and he struggles with the decision. He wants to send Rebecca home, but he knows he's acting off emotion. He's trying to play it smart, and he feels like if he keeps Rebecca, he knows for a fact that she'll owe him, and it'll solidify an alliance and somebody in his corner. He doesn't want to send Shuby, Sammy, or Chris home. He feels like they've been together with him since day one. He also feels like if he sends Rebecca home, Shuby will be mad at him and it'll turn him against him. And so he's just sitting there struggling. Meanwhile, the players are just shook. They don't know like what's going on. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? And everyone's worried. And everyone's worried. So he figures out who he's gonna block. And but here's the problem. Here's one last twist. Once he finally submits who he's going to block, the circle says, well, guess what? The person who's been blocked has been chosen, but you're not going to find out because the influencer's going to go to their room, knock on their door, and block them face to face. And you could see Joey's heart sink because he's like, I just did this to somebody, and now I literally have to go and talk to them myself, and he's heartbroken. You can see it in his eyes. It's just like, oh God. So we see him down the dark hall, the blue aisle hallway. That's a great looking blue, by the way. I love it. Love that color blue. But he just walking down there, dressed up, trying to look good, like, oh, I have to go block somebody. And then he knocks on the door, opens it. Chris is joking, like, oh, let me go lock my door. And then literally the narrator's like, dang, our influencers have keys. And so he goes and he walks and he finally opens the door. We find out he blocked Sean.
This was unexpected. Like, because I remembered it happened, so I knew it was going to be her, but just their interactions and stuff. It's one of those moments where when you realize Joey is going on strategy now. Like, it's just like he put Shuby in fifth. Joey is going on strategy. When he looks at it strategically, he had to get rid of Sean because he really didn't have any enemies. And he needs to keep the OGs. He needs to keep them. And even though he wants to get rid of Rebecca, he needs the OGs and he needs Shuby. So then that leaves Sean and Ed. And Ed, has more influence in the house, whereas Sean made kind of a scene. So unfortunately, like it's super tough, but it had to be Sean. And she is just crushed, and Joey's like, please sit down. Let me talk to you. I wasn't being fake. It's not because of your size. It's not because you were using someone else's photos. It's all game. And Sean's just crushed because she just put this man in first place and thought she had a bond with him. And he just sent her home. Yeah. It's understandable. She is crushed.
She is. And so she leaves and Joey goes back to his room. He says, oh, I'm going to find you. But in a aggressively friendly way. And I'm just like, wow, wrong context. That's creepy. We're not done. I'm going to find you outside this house. And I'm just like, wow, okay, that's aggressive. But okay, do you. But anyway, people go to bed. Everyone chills. And the next day comes. Everyone updates their status. Ed updates his status. I hope you wrote it down because I forgot.
I didn't save it. I had it. I remembered it for when we were going to record yesterday, and then we had to miss the day. But let me just put it this way. The reason I keep saying I wish Ed could play without Tammy is that even though Ed would probably lose spectacularly quickly, this guy is your typical like late stage millennial, probably born like 95, 96, where I don't know where he came up with this status. He probably had a couple of drinks, But even Tammy's just like, what the hell did you just put?
Oh my god, I have to find this. I can't. I'm like, we're talking. I have to find the status now.
Probably like minute 5 or something. Like try minute 5.
Jesus.
Well, you look for it. I'm going to mention what Joey puts as his status, and then just let me know when you have Ed's. But it's a thing where they never mention who the super influencer was. So everyone's wondering, who blocked Sean? Who is the super influencer? And we see sometimes when things like this happen, people stay quiet, but sometimes people open up. And Joey just wants to come clean, especially since he has been honest. He wants to keep being seen as honest. So he just openly is like, last night was hard. I had to send Sean home and I hate it. And people are like, oh my God, it was Joey? Like, A, oh my God, he told us it was him. And B, like, he got rid of Sean? What? Like, even people were surprised that it was Sean and not Rebecca, except for Shuby, who's ecstatic. But everyone thought of the choices, it would be Rebecca or maybe Ed because he's the newest. They didn't see Sean because Sean and Joey had a bond.
Yes, in which case, the status that just wakes everybody up and makes them laugh and be like, what the hell, is time flies like an arrow, but fruit flies like a banana. And I'm just like, I'm literally, one of those things like, I have the same reaction when it was like, what? Like, this is not deep. It's random. It's one of those things like, I don't get this, but do you, dude? It's a status. It's up to you.
I've thought on it and I can't make sense of it. I feel like the only way I would ever make an ounce of sense is to find like shrooms and go sit in the backyard overnight under a full moon and just keep thinking about it over and over until I come up with something, because that's probably how Ed came up with this to begin with. He remembers like, oh, remember when I said this? But everyone's just like, okay. And Tammy's just like, fruit doesn't fly. And I was like, maybe he's being like interesting with fruit flies, because like when your bananas go bad, you get fruit flies, but that still doesn't make sense. Time and the arrow. Like, I just don't understand, Ed.
Exactly, especially if you're a Whovian, because then you're like Whovian, like Dr. Gorman explains, like time isn't a river, it's kind of a wibbly wobbly type of thing. Then you listen to Good Place, it's a Bellamy, Jellamy Bellamy type of thing, where just Jeremy Baramy, where literally the way time works, especially in the afterlife, it loops and goes all around. It's not linear. It goes in all directions, every direction. It's really weird. But yes, long story short, he gives this as a status. Time flies like an arrow, but fruit flies like a banana, and everyone is just like, what the heck is this dude smoking? I didn't know they allowed drugs in the UK. What can I get? Can I get one? He's like, for real. Xandir, don't do drugs unless it's weed.
Not drugs.
In which case, then talk to your family. Talk to your family; they'll hook you up. But anyway, as far as then Joey does reveal that he blocks Sean, everyone supports him and is surprised. He then talks to Rebecca / Seabird, basically extends an olive branch and clears the air, because basically he knows, or he's afraid, or he knows that she's close to Shuby. He's afraid Shuby will pick her over him, so he tries to just make sure that all three of them are standing together at the end. And Rebecca / Seabird agrees with him. She knows all three of them being together would be a really unstoppable force, and that's great. And then basically, the last but not least is we have Sean leaving a message and putting not putting everyone on blast, but she states that there are people with secrets still, while she played the game mostly 100% honest, with the exception of her being a catfish. She basically states, like, there's some people who aren't being honest in this game, and people who still have secrets. And it's one of those things where she kind of just reinforces. It's one of which she kind of sheds doubt on Joey, because it's like, people still have secrets. Is Joey real? Joey's the last one that saw her because Joey had to send her home literally. Rebecca/Seaburn's freaking out because Joey and Ed literally called her out as possibly being a catfish. It's one of those things where it's like, now we're just wondering what's going on, and that's where we leave the episode. We're just everyone's wondering who's being real and who's not. What does she mean? What's this cryptic message? And it's just like, oh God. And all I can think of is just Rebecca/Seaburn. I pray to God this person doesn't win. I don't want a catfish to win.
Yeah, Sean's created like the perfect little mini cherry bomb because, like you said, it's like, is it Joey? Because she last saw Joey, but is there someone else? Was she a part of the anti-Rebecca train? Even other people are like, I wonder if Chris is fake. He seems too good to be true. People have mentioned Sammy. Is Sammy fake? Like, everyone's just super paranoid. Like, they already were, but now that there's only one more person to go home and Sean has said this, and people know Sean was having side conversations with people that weren't on the main chat, everyone's just not trusting anyone except for Shuby, who 100% trusts Rebecca. And I'm just laughing. Like Shuby's a smart man, except for that. Because all I hope is after this show wrapped, he got to meet the real Rebecca.
Same here. That's all I can hope for at this point. But that's where we ended, in which case we got 2 episodes left. That means 2 episodes of this podcast left. And then after that comes the start of the new challenge series, in which case we couldn't have timed this any better. Good God in heaven. We're extremely lucky. Thank the Lord. In which case, I mean, if this show is different. It seems like, from what it looks like, it doesn't look like there's going to be a reunion show, which I'm not happy about. I mean,
so the way the circle does it, the reunion and the finale are mixed in the same. So the order is going to be next week, episode 11. We eliminate one more person. Well, block. In this game, it's block. We block one more person. We get the final 5. And the final 5 next episode, I believe, will start rating themselves. And it's really interesting to watch because it's basically everyone's doing what Joey did this episode with Shuby, where they want to rate their favorite person, but they also want to make it where they win. So it's like, where do I put this person at to show that I appreciate them, but that I don't want them to win over me? And especially some of the more popular ones, it gets really tricky. Like especially when it comes to, I'd say, Joey and Shuby, I feel like are the 2 people like, where do we put them? Because they could easily win, but we don't want to just put them at the bottom because we do think they're cool. So it's fun to watch that. And then the last episode for the finale, the first half is a reunion. So they bring out, all 5 people get to meet, by the way. So Seaburn's act is going to get blown, but all 5 people come out and they sit down, and everyone from Alana through Redacted, who gets eliminated next episode, is there. And they'll like talk to some of those people. They'll show clips. So there's kind of like a reunion that way. They'll talk to each of the 5 finalists, and they have them all stand up, and they start just whittling them away until, only one person's left, and they win the, what is it, $100,000. And then they also have a viewer's choice, and that is not shown for any of the seasons because you vote while the season's airing on Netflix.
Right.
And someone wins that. It'd be interesting to see if the viewer's choice ever won first place too. I will say that hasn't happened so far in the 2 US seasons, but I'll let you guys know who won viewer's choice when we record that episode. And then of course we see who won the main one. I will say that, I'm pleased with the results. That's what I'll say. It's a good finale. I like it better than season 2 because season 2 had a lot of drama. And so it was a much cattier finale, but they're trying to cram it into this short episode. Whereas like the challenge was give you 2 full 90 minutes for all the tea. And this is just like, what do you think about this person? Okay, stop. Moving on. And so season 1, where there's more of the camaraderie, it's a much nicer finale.
I'm glad to hear it. In which case, I can't wait to see it. Now, in which case, as far as this goes, I just want to say hi, Xander. Hello, buddy. Oh my God. I hope I get to see you in person soon. Not in public though, like in a private setting, because you're a child. And I don't want you to, like, I don't want to be with you in public because you're a kid. So like, you start crying, people start looking at us like, oh my God, it's a baby. I know I've done that. I'm slightly ashamed. I'm also not.
Like, he fussed a little bit earlier on this podcast, but he's like me. He needs attention, but I like to cuddle him, so he normally has that. But he's teething right now, so he'll just go through these minutes where for 5 minutes just everything is bad, and then he's back to normal. But he's not really a screamy meltdown baby yet. Knock on wood. Which I'm very happy about. We didn't have to deal with colic or anything. So when I'm around, if he can't just lay somewhere, I normally just sit him on my lap, and like now he tries to hand me his pacifier because I guess he's trying to shut me up. I don't know.
No, we will see, but I hope I get to meet him soon. And I don't know if she listens to this podcast, but there's a mutual friend of ours that apparently I found out. I don't know, maybe upset, not happy at the moment. This person knows who they are. If you are listening to this, I hope you're doing better or you're doing okay. I know you and Andrew are super close, and you have a husband who you're super close and in love with, but if there's anything I can do to help you feel better, even if it's just sending you random TikTok videos to hopefully make you laugh, just let me know. I sent you a message on Facebook, Messenger, so I don't know. I don't know if you even check that a lot, but I hope you're doing okay, genuinely, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Very well said. It's Anderson to love too. She knows who she is. I don't know if she'd hear this part because she watches my videos, but she's never seen the circle, so I don't know if she watches these episodes.
That case, tell her to watch the last like 5 minutes.
Like, just watch the last little bit. It's okay.
On that note, I'm going to say it because you got a kid and he obviously wants your attention and he's getting fussy. So hit him with them socials.
But you can find me on all social media at the Angie Juice. That's going to be your Instagram, your Twitter, your TikTok, YouTube. Obviously, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, whatever, we do have the video version up as well. You can see Papa D and I's beautiful faces every week. Today you get to see Xander's beautiful face as well, since he gets to join the podcast. And YouTube has launched a new thing called YouTube Shorts. It's trying to join the trend of TikTok and Instagram stories and reels. So I have posted my first YouTube short. I don't know where you go to watch them. I will say that. So if you're listening to this, let me know where you actually go to see them. Because they pop up for your subscribers and they pop up on your channel feed. So I can see mine, but I don't know where to find just like shorts. So let me know that. But I'm going to experiment around with it.
All right. You can find me on the Twitter at PapaD618. You can find me on the Snapchat at PapaD618. You can find me on Instagram at PapaD618. You can find me on the Facebook. Do not find me on the Facebook. At this point, I got somebody pretending to be my grandmother, randomly messaging me about government grants that they're not expecting money back from, like they're not expecting you to pay it back. I'm just like, what the heck did I step into? I'm gonna have to defriend my grandmother just to make sure this stops. But anyway, you can also find me on the TikTok at @PapaD_618. If you find me on the TikTok, please feel free to send me videos, random videos in honor of Xander, random videos of newborns. I never want children, but at the same time, I will gladly watch your random videos of your newborns just being, I don't know, weird, funny, doing stuff. I don't know. Send me them videos if you want. In the meantime, I wish nothing but love and happiness for Angie and our friend group, and of course, Xandir, little buddy. Hope to see you soon. You and him baby legs. Baby legs! Baby legs! Baby legs! Baby legs! I guess.
Mommy, give me my teething gel. My gums hurt.
Oh my god. In that case, in the meantime, all I have to say is peace, love, and pancakes.
Bye-bye.
You are listening to